Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon and another unboxing video. This time we are taking a look at Adventure Tactics Domianne's Tower. This is a game that I actually had considered on Kickstarter, but after taking a look at it, I felt like it just was lacking some things and wasn't really going to be worth it. And then after seeing other people post videos of their playthroughs and their comments and their reviews, especially Tom Vassel's at the Dice Tower, and I believe it was Colin on One Stop Co-op Shop, who really enjoyed the character creation atmosphere of this game. That the tactical combat was okay, but where the game really shined was the ability to create and grow this character in your particular image. And I have found that I really appreciate these style games where character creation is a big part of the game and leveling up your character and doing it at a pace where you feel like you can actually see it happening. So I went out and got my hands on a copy of this game because it just seems like something that's right up my alley. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's inside the box here. It is quite a heavy box, so I'm not going to attempt to flip it over, but this is a cooperative style game. It's got a campaign story. You can see it's 1 to 5 players here, age 13 plus, but I have heard a lot of people a lot of people playing with kids younger than 13 plus. So 45 to 60 minutes per encounter, so not a very long game, but again, it's meant to be played over a series of games that will you'll get to see your character grow. So let's take a look at what we have here. Okay, so a class guide, which is very handy. So you can see you have these, starting classes, and then, look at all these choices. This is what's, just really nice about the game, is that you've got fighter, wizard, cleric, rogue, archer, bishop, assassin, necromancer, barbarian, paladin, ninja, war mage, and then at some point here we're going to jump to maybe not, warlock, shaman. Okay, so this is how it works. See, the cleric is a starter character, so is the rogue, and so is the archer. An assassin is if you have doubled up your rogue value twice. But then we get into the kind of mixing of characters here. A paladin has to actually be a level 1 fighter and a level 1 cleric combined. And then here, a war mage is a fighter, a wizard, and a rogue combined. Until you get all the way back here, and a champion is a fighter, a rogue, cleric, wizard, and an archer. Beast trainer is a fighter and a second level archer. Okay, and I guess these guys come in the Hero Pack upgrade, Hero Pack 1, that you can purchase. I believe that was part of the Kickstarter. You probably got that if I had actually backed the Kickstarter, but in the end I chose not to. So, all right, we have got some player boards here, which do look nice. They look to be at least dual layered to some degree here. Okay, so I'm assuming this stuff is going to pop out here, but this is where you're going to be slotting cards like weapon, armor, accessory. Nice dual layer here to hold your health tracking, class, and your class feature. So these are going to kind of define your character. And then I'm honestly not sure what fits all down here, but you can see there is essentially one type of board for each of the standees or miniatures that have come in the game. So you kind of have to choose, are you going to be like Roberta, who's the knight figure, or Tolbin, who's the kind of rogue figure, but then you get to build them up however you see fit from there. So there are the character boards. The back is like a shadow version of the character. All right, now we've got a rule book. This looks to be pretty standard here, but let's take a look inside. It's quite a large rule book, but there appears to be a lot of nice bright pictures in here. So basically there's the 5 heroes. There are miniatures for those guys, and then everything else is a standee. Oh no, there's 5 summon miniatures. So look at that. I think this was like a Kickstarter stretch goal upgrade, which I guess has made it into the retail box, which is nice. But I honestly don't mind this setup. This is very similar to Gloomhaven. I don't need a ton of miniatures in a game, and that's not why I purchased this game. I purchased this game for the kind of character upgrade campaign. So here's creating your hero. Whole 2+ pages here on how to create your hero and go through that process, which is good because again, that's why I am interested in this game. Setting up an encounter, player setup, and then here we are, rules of play, succeeding and failing, player turn, boss abilities. So some decent pictures in here. The text is really big, so you're looking at like a 20-page rule book, but this doesn't look to be too bad. Most of the stuff is probably straightforward. Line of sight, targeting and range, area of effect. If you are familiar with dungeon crawler type games, you are probably, and look, by 18 here, so you're looking at about 8 pages of rules. We are into like definitions, almost like a glossary of text, and the back appears to be yes, a breakdown of the classes. So here you can see, all right, if I want to become a ninja, I need to become a level 1 rogue, level 1 wizard, and a level 1 archer. This is what their movement's going to be, and they're going to gain this much HP when they become that class. All right, so let's see what else is in here. All right, so this is the campaign. Like I said, this is a campaign game. So I'm not going to spoil too much of this alert. Okay, spoiler alert. Character backgrounds. And then basically you've got, your basic setup here with your enemies, setup of the board, your objective, your bonus objective. So the terrain is a little dry. It's basically these large, 1x1 squares with some very minor decorations behind it. It's not going to be these intricate tiles that you have to lock together. It's going to be very simple, but your objective and the way the AI is controlled is going to change from game to game. So we're not going to go any further into that, just for spoiler reasons. So here we have a decent amount of cardboard. Let's see if we can get this open here. Okay, so here is what is mostly a whole bunch of standees for the bad guys, but they also have standees for the playable characters that there are miniatures for. So I guess you could play with either way. That's interesting. It's like a baby, but there are some, health tokens here, but then all the rest of these are what I'm assuming are bad guys designated by these letters and numbers here. So a whole bunch of these. Everything is pretty much double-sided here. So there is some terrain and some what I would assume are like status tokens here. So but they can hear walls and some flame and pillars and things like that. Not sure what these might be, but here they're pointing out that you can get this object in Hero Pack 1, which is interesting. Here are mostly a few more terrain pieces, and here are again the playable characters here, along with some of the summons. These guys are all represented in miniature form though. So again, a few more status tokens, and then the last bit here is again all monsters. I guess we can go this way, and some pretty big ones here, including this guy who needs to be put together. So not bad. Let's see what else we have in here. So this is a little disconcerting that this does not stay tight, and obviously the miniatures have gone awry. So let's check and make sure that everything, I'm going to pull this out. We'll look at these here in just a second. But so we have like a wolf companion here, and we have a couple skeleton summons, I'm assuming for like a necromancer. And then we have this guy. Not sure who this little guy is. And then I believe the rest of these guys should be the heroes. Oops. So again, you know, these aren't like, you know, Fantasy Flight or CMON quality miniatures here, but they're not bad. You know, the artwork is okay, faithful to the drawings in here. They're slightly on the small side, I would say, but they'll get the job done. Square bases. So I guess, I'm not sure how all of this was supposed to go back in here, because I feel like there's a bigger spot here. Interesting. We will have to figure this out at some point, how these guys were all supposed to go back in there. But for now, let's push them off to the side and look at what else is in here. So we have a couple large standees. I'm assuming these are for the larger villain characters. But that is a pretty hefty standee right there, or stand. Okay, a whole bunch of smaller stands. Another big stand. Okay, and we have some dice. Let's take a look at these dice. Yeah, the dice are okay. They're a little light, in my opinion, but they're, you know, engraved in there and painted inside. So they're not quite like, you know, chip theory dice, but they get the job done. Okay. So there is one of these little packets in here, which is nice. I keep talking about how you should keep these in the thing, but, and it is, this has been pointed out. I'm not the first person to discuss this, but even just in the short time period that I have opened these out of the box, you can see how much the player boards here have warped. So definitely gonna have to try and flatten those out, and definitely want to keep these around, hopefully keeping that and even adding some more in. I have a couple more here, will help that out. So all right, what do we have here? We have some I'm assuming these are like the initiative trackers. So she goes first, and these appear to be like poker chips, which would be a nice little upgrade versus just a cardboard chip. If I could get into them, we could check it out. Yeah, so this is nice. You know, essentially, you've got these just good renditions of your character, depending on what mini you're playing with. And there's enemy, quill, enemy, and enemy. So this is nice. This is a nice touch. I like this upgrade right here. So that determines your initiative throughout the game. Then you have some tuck boxes. I think these are a really nice touch. That way you can keep track of your individual characters throughout the campaign, and this is so simple to add in. And they did this, Plat Hat Games did this with Aftermath, their most recent storybook game, and I really appreciated the tuck boxes that they included in the game and made storage and saving the game in between sessions a breeze. So really glad those are in there. And then we've got some card dividers here, which is nice. And then I'm not really sure what these are. So you got a north, southeast, north, south, east, west. So basically all the cardinal directions. This must have something to do with AI movement or something like that, where they're positioned on the board. I'm assuming these are your kind of health trackers that'll be found or be slotted in here. Why they're not red, I don't know, but that's fine. They can honestly be whatever color they want. And then there is a whole bunch of cards here, and I think this is where the game gets to really shine, is the fact that, and I'm not going to go through all of these because I think this would just be way too many to go through, but if I can get into one of these here, we can take a quick look at just an example of, well, okay, so you can see here that there is a ton of cards in this game, and most of them appear to be, upgrades for your characters. So let's just, they all have a similar back here. I think there is like a little kind of mini deck building style game to this, but adaptable will make a basic move or basic attack. A whole bunch of adaptables. Adrenaline boost when you deal damage with a basic attack. Add, I guess, a red die. Take an extra action. Range 1 to 13 probably. Man. Damage all enemies and heal all players. But this essentially here is what led me to decide to purchase the game even after passing on the Kickstarter, is all of these various upgrades that you can make and how you can really build out your character deck as you see fit. So last thing here we're going to take a look at is, this is going sideways there. Does not look like there's a whole lot of room if you were wanting to sleeve these cards. Pretty much everything fits in here as is. Last but not least, we have some of the environment boards. Okay, so you can see, and this is part of the reason why I passed on the Kickstarter at the time, is that these boards are pretty dry. A lot of times you'll have just this and this side by side, and there it is. There's your environment, or this and this, like this. And these rocks in the background really don't mean much of anything. I guess this one does mean, these must mean something, but then this is what's on the other side. So the environment is not nearly as dynamic as many other dungeon crawlers, and I was concerned that the tactical element of the game was going to be lacking. But again, I think that the way you have to look at this game is that it's a character creation game. So if you played D&D back in the day and really enjoyed creating your character, this is the game for you. Or if you really enjoy thinking through the upgrades that you're going to add to a character, and say too many bones, or even some of the standard games like Descent or something like that, you need to make a choice as to which upgrades you're going to put on your character. I think that this is going to be a game right up your alley. But one last thing I want to do here is I'm going to take the time to punch out all of our cardboard, and I'm going to see what we can do about this, because right now you can see that all of this is meant to just be thrown into a baggie and dumped into here. And that's a big no-no in my book. So I am going to try and figure out how the miniatures are supposed to go back into here and figure out how we can store this cardboard better. So let's do that right now. Okay, so I know what you're saying. I see some baggies, and admittedly this challenge was tougher than I expected because there are so many standees. There really is not a good way in utilizing the space provided to have them in here without bagging up the cardboard standees. So these are the only baggies essentially that I added to the setup, and you can see here that this baggie contains all of the what I would call minion monsters, ones with a number after their initials. So this is probably Goblin Archer 1, and then there's, you know, Goblin Archer 2 and 3 and 4 in here somewhere, or you know, W5, whatever, Wraith 5. So there's at least 5 Wraiths. So all of the numbered minions are in one bag, and then all of the larger villain characters who, you know, are unique in nature are in this bag here. I take that back. So the dice were already in a bag, and a lot of times this is pretty good storage for dice. Same thing with the standees here. The large standees have a spot in this area right here, so go ahead and drop them in there. And then I took one of the smaller baggies and placed my hero miniature, or my hero standees, along with the basically anything that's covered by a miniature is in a baggie, and it's just tucked right there. Then I have these kind of odd shaped terrain tiles. Not sure what they're used for, but they were just kind of sitting on top, as well as tucked along the side here are all of these long terrain tiles. And then on the very bottom, these 2 monsters, which make up 3 very large pieces. These guys didn't fit very well in the bag. I was worried that they were going to get bent up, so I just wanted to make sure they laid flat. I may consider like parking them along the side here. A lot of times that's pretty good a storage solution, especially if you do it kind of one at a time. And so you can still get him out of there, but he's out of the way. He's not going to get bent up, but we'll see. All of my tokens I have placed in this Plano 3400 series here. I left the sticker on there just so you guys could get a good look. But this is one with the 5 compartments. The 3400 series does make you know, several different ways of organizing these, but these ones with the 5 columns seemed to work well for this situation. So I just threw these in there because I didn't want them to get lost, but I kept them in the baggie so they'd be easy to pull out. Those are your health trackers, and then this is for the minion health. So all of the health is in here, but it's all double-sided, and there's plenty of room in there to pull out the 10s and the 3s and the 5s and the 1s. Then there's a whole tray of these. Again, I don't know what these are for. A whole tray of all these white discs, a whole tray of these teardrop tokens, status effect tokens, and then there's a couple of these square terrain tiles, and then all the rest of these kind of oddball dice faces are tucked in there as well. So for the most part, all of the cardboard tokens that you need will fit in there, minus the standees. Unfortunately, these were very close to not fitting, or to getting in there, which would have been perfect in my opinion. But that's pretty much it. So let's just take a look at how this all goes back into the box. I actually am, just for the sake of testing it out here, I am just going to kind of stick these larger minions off to the side there. Alright, so let's get our Plano box in there. We're going to take these guys right here, tuck them along the side at the end of the Plano box. Just fills that space in there nicely. I'm going to go ahead and just tuck those in there. And then we've got to get you know, basically our standees, trays, and our dice just kind of tucked off to the side here. Then what you're going to do with these bags is kind of navigate everyone kind of to the side of the bag. I feel like that has worked the best. And then when they're kind of on the side of the bag, everything lays flat. You can see it's all well below the line here, because then you're going to want a nice flat surface to put these. Your terrain tiles are expected to go in this location there and sit right there. Then what appears to work best for me is to actually take your rule book and your campaign guide and drop them in there and put your spiral right here along the side, so it tucks in there nicely. Now you've got this nice flat area to put your player boards. So we're going to slide those in. Keep that handy. That can really go anywhere. And then, see, at first I did this and then I was like, ooh, look at all this space. I could store something right here. But wait, you cannot forget your tuck boxes here need a place. And so this is a good level here where they are going to be held firm in there but not be squished. So, you could throw your blank ones you're not using, but there should be enough room to do at least 1, 2, 3. I believe you can fit 4 across because I'm adding a little extra here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so 4 across. And I think you could fit a couple that way, so there should be plenty of room even if you're playing with 5 players and all of these are opened up and created into tuck boxes. You should have plenty of room for your tuck boxes on the top. So don't forget about that when you're creating your storage solution, especially if you're like me and you store the game. Figure out how you're going to store the game before you even play. You gotta have room for these tuck boxes to not get squished. Don't forget to leave them in the box. But there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was an unboxing of Adventure Tactics Domianne's Tower, followed by how I, at least for the moment, have decided to store up the game. I'm not super excited about the monster standees being in baggies, so if you have found an even better storage solution for using that small little cube of space, please feel free to let us know in the comment section below. Link a video of your own in the comment section below, whatever it may be. I'd love to see it. If there is a perfect size Plano box out there, I'd love to know about it. So again, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and please consider subscribing to the channel. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.